Sis.
All right, so we're joined by Raymond High School 2015 graduate, one of my favorite former students, Chasity Carter, also graduate of Hinds Community College and Jackson State University College of Social Work, now with the Mississippi Department of Child Protective Services. And I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson. Also, Kiera Drain's class is with us watching live as well. And we're recording this for our friends at Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So before we jump into what all you do on an everyday basis and how you got there, take us a little bit about your high school experience. You were with me your senior year at Raymond High. Have one of the best handwritings of any student I've ever seen. Just the most beautiful penmanship. Uh, but you were a great student. So talk about your senior year and how that prepared you as far as the ACT and getting ready for those next steps, going to Hinds and then Jackson State.
Well, you don't think about it when you're actually there, but your senior year is very important. The things that you learn and the things that you hear is actually shaping you, when you get out to the real world, when you get to college and when you move out and when you get a job. And being in your class, we was always able to come to you, ask any questions. It was always an open classroom, and that was something that I actually really liked. So it kind of shaped me and helped me to kind of get ready, get prepared for the ACT. I'm not a good test taking person, so everybody's not good at test taking. But, during your senior year, that's the best time to kind of take in everything, take good notes, ask all the questions that you have, do not leave out of your senior year having any doubts or having any unanswered questions, and I feel like you were a good teacher being able to come to you and, ask any questions without feeling ashamed, without feeling like this question is not a good question. Because when you get out there, a lot of people are going to expect you to already know these things. They're going to expect you to already know, what you're getting yourself into or how to find your class or, what time to be there. You won't have anyone kind of on your back saying, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. So that's the time to kind of enjoy that moment and ask all your questions, take your notes, and kind of just get prepared for the real world.
Yeah, and you did a great job of that. And you were an excellent student, and I appreciate the compliments, but it's definitely not about me. But I definitely appreciate that. But then you went to Hinds Community College in Raymond, and you lived at home. Unlike a lot of other students choose to live on campus, you chose to live at home and commute. Now, talk a little bit about why you did that and how that worked.
My main goal was saving money. I got scholarships, but I didn't get a full ride. So my main goal was to save money, and Hinds Community College offered good programs for general studies and also social work. So that was my main goal. I was able to still be close to home. I was able to save money. I was able to get a job if I wanted to. It was just a lot of pros to me just still being close to home and actually getting a good education. Hinds was great. I met a lot of good people, a lot of good professors, also while still being at home. So, you don't have to always go off to college to actually get a good education or to actually be successful. And so Hinds actually shaped me and helped me be able to transition to Jackson State. When I got to Jackson State, it was amazing. I loved it. I loved my program. Everybody was helpful. And also just being close to home, it was not as stressful, being away from home. You're either homesick or, you're stressing about, hey, I need somebody to send me some money, and I didn't kind of have all of that on me. So it was easier for me to kind of study, read, go to different things on campus. I didn't have a lot to worry about with me being close to home. So that's something I definitely don't regret.
Yeah, and then with Hinds as well, what I want these kids to understand is that these community colleges have a great relationship with these universities. So
They
you
do.
go into Hinds and you're telling them from the beginning, look, I want to go to Jackson State and I want to major in this. They're going to make sure you have everything you need to transfer to Jackson State. And in those first 2 years, they're going to make sure you have everything you need. And like you said, as far as saving money, even if you do have, you said you did have the small scholarship, you're still saving a lot of money getting the same classes you would have at the four-year university those first 2 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And like you said, with the connections, with being there, Hines Community College has great connections with the small areas of like Jackson State, for instance. They're gonna make sure that you have everything you need. They're gonna make sure the transition for you is smooth moving over. You go 2 years here and 2 years there, and you're done. And you got to experience a community college and a university. So you got to experience like best of both worlds. You have people there to kind of guide you through. And so that was very helpful,
Yeah.
very smooth.
Yeah, and then you went to Jackson State where you majored in social work. And just for everybody watching now and watching later, Jackson State has one of the top social work programs in the country.
Yes, they do.
They and their master's program is 1 year, so they are really churning out social work. A lot of social work professionals. Now, for those people who don't know, what is it in a social work program? Because it is very diverse, but it is a lot of writing. If it is obviously there's a need for more social work professionals. There's always going to be, and it's a very layered field. It's not just one area, but there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of writing skills that have to be learned in college. So talk a little bit about that social work program in Jackson State and how it led to you being at the Department of Child Protective Services now.
Okay. But like you say, it's a lot of writing. Not only is it writing, but it's a lot of comprehending. So, a lot of times you're writing or you're reading and you're not really focused on comprehending what you're writing and you're reading. So in that field, you have to not only write, read, but also comprehend as you go. And with that program, it's amazing. They break everything down for you, and you're able to go through very smoothly with, learning how to do interviews, learning how to do in-home visits. That's one that's very important. And so when you get to learn how to do in-home visits and interviews and speaking with different clients, that's kind of when it gets more hands-on. So you're not only writing, but you do have a phase of hands-on as well when you're actually interacting with different people and you're actually interacting with your classmates or going off. I know one project we had to go down to the state capitol and kind of interact with people and kind of learn the ins and outs of the city of Jackson, basically, and that's teaching you how to watch your surroundings or how to, interact or talk in a professional manner. Just those things you kind of have that becomes hands-on. But I love the program. It was very entertaining. It was very outgoing when it came to meeting new people. There was always something going on. You have the Student Social Work Association at Jackson State where they offer many different things like community service, and you have meetings where you're getting to know people on campus and getting to know things that you can do to help the university. So I was also in that as well. So it's just a very good program. All the professors there are very good, very encouraging, and they're going to let you know exactly what you need to know. They're not going to sugarcoat it with you. They're going to let you know exactly what you need to know.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of years ago I ran into you and we had a conversation about this because you said you were still living at home going to Jackson State, but you also were because of the we've had other speakers talk about getting involved on campus. Just because you live at home doesn't mean you can't be involved in campus, because you're telling me you had a job at the outlet mall, but you also had an internship. So you were getting work experience because it's when you're in college, it's fine to work at those retail jobs because these companies in any field want that face-to-face experience with customers, especially something like social work where you have to talk a lot. So you were getting experience face-to-face. You may not have realized that you were there for the paycheck, but you were getting face-to-face experience. But also the American Social Work Association, they were able to get you that internship. You were able to network, get that in-field experience on top of that. And like you said, there were opportunities to be involved in campus. You don't have to do the live in the dorm, be in a sorority route like like other people do. You can still have a great HBCU experience and still live at home like you did.
Correct. I think I was maybe on campus more than some people that actually stayed on campus.
Wow.
Because I was involved with so many different things, and the more you're involved, the more you're on campus. So I lived at home, but I probably spent 6 hours at home, from working, from being on campus in the library, from being in the meetings, from being in any activity or program that may be going on. It's very good. You can stay active. Just because you don't stay on campus does not mean you can't be involved in anything.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to know with Jackson State, It's HBCU, but like I always say, historically Black does not mean exclusively Black, because there are literally people from all over the world on campus there, and it has one of the largest international populations in the South as far as international students. So, and also international professors. So that really, you know, especially coming from Mississippi, we're not really used to that. Jackson State does offer that experience in the undergraduate and graduate programs.
That's correct. Very diverse. My program was very diverse. We had people from all over. So it was just not, you know, African American or, you know, because a lot of people, and I also think when they look at social work, it's mostly women. You know, we had men in our program. I actually work with men now. So, in which we need more men in social work as well. So.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk about next is the need for social workers and what all social workers do. And with your degree, if you wanted to, I know you're happy with your career now, but if you wanted to, you can move into a different area of social work. So what are some of the other areas of social work besides the state? And obviously there's private social workers and school social workers, but what are some of the different areas of social work and how do they serve the public?
Social work is the most broad field that you can ever think of. You can be a counselor. Social workers can convert over to be a teacher. Once you get a certain level of education, you can work for the state, nonprofit organizations. You can work for yourself. It's just a lot of things you can do within social work with just having a bachelor's, with being licensed, with just having a master's. With me, I just have a bachelor's of social work right now and also working on getting licensed on the bachelor's level. Right now, I can go be a caseworker. I can go and work under a licensed social worker. I can go to the hospital. I can work in the medical field. So it's very, very, very broad. Many places that you see, you may not think, but 9 times out of 10, they have some type of social worker or caseworker connected to them, especially the hospitals. Right now, I work for Child Protective Services at the state office, which my department is the Mississippi Centralized Intake. And so basically what we do is we're the first point of contact for any child that's being abused or neglected. We service the whole state of Mississippi. We not only deal with abuse and neglect, we deal with runaways, we deal with abandonment, we deal with children being born addicted to drugs, we deal with shelters, we deal with domestic violence. So we deal with all that on a daily basis. The reason that the need is so strong for social workers is because it's mentally draining. So in this field, we always teach about self-care. Self-care is very important in this field because in order for you to be successful, in order for you to still maintain the field successfully and not take the field home, you have to practice self-care. So that's why, you know, I think the need is so strong because a lot of people don't understand self-care and don't understand, you know, what's self-care for them. So I've kind of learned that more in this field, but yeah, we deal with a lot here, and we're actually in need for more people. And we're not actually in the field; we're actually in the office. So we definitely need more people who are just mentally strong and mentally ready to able to handle that.
Yeah, I can only imagine the things you have to deal with and see on a daily basis. But this is a career and a field that's not going away. It's always going to be a need for it. And like you said, you know, if you ever got mentally drained in this particular area, you could use your education to go into the medical field or to private practice or the education, because there's always going to be a need for social work, especially in Mississippi with all the issues in the state. This is a program that's not going away. Now, you also mentioned that you could become a licensed social worker with the master's degree, and I know Jackson State does offer, and it's a big publicity for them. They have the 1-year program of master's in social work. Now, would that be something you'd be interested in pursuing to continue and still work full time?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people say it's hard to do. It's hard to go to the 1-year program and still work full time. But with most social work jobs, they're going to support you going back to school. You know, so if you graduated with your bachelor's degree and you say, hey, okay, I want to go back to school, most jobs will fund you to go back to school, and they will also work around your school schedule. So if you say I need time off, I need this, they're going to support you. So once I get my license on the bachelor's level and I choose to go back to school, my program will not only pay for me to go back to school, but they'll also support me going back to school with being able to work and go to school full time.
Yeah, and that's one thing about you that is just amazing, and I think a lot of people can learn is the way you're able to manage your time and manage some of your responsibilities. because you were living at home, but like you said, you were on campus a lot. You were involved in a lot of stuff, and you had multiple jobs while you were in college. So how did you manage to be able to have a part-time job, a part-time internship, and still be a full-time student?
Well, me, I like to write things down. Like on my desk now, I have sticky notes and stuff everywhere. So, like you said, time management is very important. Kind of write down what you have to do, keeping track of what you have to do, and staying ahead. One thing I always did was stay ahead. Just because something was due on Friday, that didn't mean I submitted it on Friday. If I can submit it on that Wednesday, I submitted on that Wednesday. So I have an extra 48 hours to put that time towards something else. So I made sure I stayed ahead. I made sure I stayed on track of, when things were due or when I needed to be here. And I always put schooling first. So just because I was working those two jobs or I was doing this, I always put my schooling first because I knew that was my number one goal, was to finish school. So always having your priorities and making sure, hey, school is first, and making sure I can get this done and saving this time, that really helps. So time management and making sure you have your priorities correct.
Yeah, and I remember when you were telling me your schedule that day, it really blew my mind because you were working a lot, but you were still taking care of business at
Mm-hmm.
Shasta State, just like you did in high school. But I do have a few questions from the students. And this first one this is a great question. And we talked a little bit about this, but I want to hear more about this. This is Roger Harris. He's a junior. And he asked, how did living at home most benefit you as a college student?
Um, for one, I was able to still be close to family, so I had a great support system. When you're transitioning from high school to college, you may think, okay, hey, it's fun, it's this and that, but when you really have a goal to graduate, it's not easy. It's not easy. So having that support system from my family and from my friends that were still at home, that helped me. Being able to save money. So when I was ready to get my first apartment, I had money saved and it was worth it. So I wasn't able to, I didn't have to struggle and try to find this and find that. I was still able to go to school, get my degree, save money, and then I can move out on my own. Because to me, I looked at it as in me staying in the dorm and sharing a bathroom with 50 other girls. I'd rather stay at home, have my own bathroom, save my money, and I can get my own apartment whenever I get ready. So it was just those type of pros that made me just want to stay at home.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah. And Jackson State does have very nice dorms. They just got the new transitional hall over there for females, but it's not cheap. It's
it's not.
almost as much as a dang tuition. And
Mhm.
that money not being paid, you're right, would about equal rent for an apartment, at least for a year. So that money, unless you have some type of scholarship or grant or something, I would agree that is a smart investment. Um,
Mhm.
and also Raymond also has some good dorms as well at Hinds. But again, you lived close by.
Mhm.
Why not save that money? Because again, even though community college is much cheaper, that's money that you're not spending, and those dorms at Hinds are not cheap either. So that is a great point. No, for anybody that's kind of, because I hear a lot from students now saying, I want to go to college, but I'm not sure about paying for it. You're a perfect example. Spend the least amount of possible. It's okay to live at home for a few years. You don't have to just jump out on your own. And like you said, you were on campus all the time. So it wasn't like you were not getting the great college experience.
Correct. And so if you have a university or a 2-year college that's close to home and that offers a program that you are looking into, I would definitely take advantage of that. That's something you can definitely take advantage of. And you're able to stay at home and, still able to get those resources, you should definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and Hines is one, and we also have Holmes Community College in Ridgeland here. And I don't know if you know this, but with a 20 ACT, you can go tuition free to Holmes Community College, which is unbelievable. With just a
You
20,
know,
yeah, and again, it doesn't cover any room or board. But if you're going to Ridgeland, you're commuting, but you're still getting 2 years of that community college education, and that could be for the trade programs as well, for tuition free with a 20. And how about this? And this blows people's minds. And they got to take the ACT for free during school Tuesday.
really?
Yeah, and they act like that's regular. I was like, that's never been.
No,
I wasn't around for y'all. Y'all were having to take it on Saturday mornings.
yes. Early Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, we'd have
And
a
not
Friday night football game everybody would go to. Then you had to get up at 7 a.m. and go to Hinds and take it.
and take it exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell them that all the time and they don't believe me.
Oh, that's crazy. We definitely didn't not have the opportunity back then.
Yeah, and again, that's just a benefit of Madison County schools. Unfortunately, you were not able to have that, but I think it's important they realize what they really have available to them as far as resources. This is Joe Ari Archie. He's also a junior, and he asked, "What is unique about the Jackson State curriculum?"
I think what's unique about the curriculum is they break it down to where it's easy for you to understand, it's easy for you to flow through. So most curriculums are like you're all over the place, it's confusing. But when you look at your Jackson State curriculum, it makes sense. So you're not jumping from this subject to this subject or this field to this field. They have it organized by each program to where it flows smoothly. I know like in my program, after your general studies, you go to learning how to maneuver with interviewing and talking to people. And then after that is basically your internship. So everything flows from one to the other. So once you get to the next step, you're already learning what you need to know in order to be successful in that next step. So they do very well with organizing their curriculum and putting things in the right place where it needs to be.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because these kids get so mad at me, because y'all should do the profiles for me at Raymond. They don't want to do them. They act like it's such a chore to get up and present in front of these small classes like I'm being mean. But like you said, in these fields, even in non-social work fields, that verbal communication is extremely important. You don't have to be a public speaker, but anytime you're dealing with a person of any sort, whether it be you're selling them something or you're helping them, you got to be able to communicate with them. You got to be able to ask them questions. You got to be able to offer them solutions. Everything's not about TikTok and Snapchat. I mean, yeah, those are great and all, and they're fun. But when it comes to doing business and helping people in their life, you got to be able to communicate. I just got one more from the students. This is Ashley Stanford. Oh, wow, this is a great question. All right, I got two questions from her. Okay, so these are both really good. Um, this first one is, if you had a chance to change anything else that you have done, hold on, let me read this right. If you had the chance to be anything else, would you have taken that chance?
Far as a field wise,
Yep.
no. I love
Wow.
From ninth grade, I said I wanted to be a social worker. I
Wow.
never changed my field, never. So I've never been in any other field other than social work.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, and that's rare, but that's amazing. And then this is a great question too. She asked, "What's the most interesting part about your job?"
My job is very interesting. Nothing about my job is not interesting. Like I said, we deal with children being abused or neglected. We deal with runaways. We deal with domestic violence. And this serves the whole state of Mississippi. So not only are we just serving the greater Jackson area, we service Harrison County. We service Jackson County. Any county, any city, if it's in the line of Mississippi, we service them. So, a lot of times you read things or you watch movies and you're like, oh, that doesn't really happen. But it does. You have kids that are locked up in cages, not eating for days. You have children that are running away. You have all these things happening. And to hear those things on a daily basis is very interesting. So it's not one minute of my day that I don't hear something interesting. Like I said, it's a mental job, but you have to be, once you're mentally prepared for it, then you'll do great. I love it. I love, being able to assist someone, in a time of a crisis. Because most of the time when they call in, they're in a crisis or, they have an attitude or something like that. But, them hearing my voice and hearing me be calm, that assist them. So everything about my job is interesting.
You definitely have the heart for it. That's incredible. Well, we're almost out of time, and I thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to call you a former student. You're one of the biggest successes of my career. And before we got on, I was showing them. I actually still have your picture up in my room, and that's going to stay there forever. But before we go, I asked you this that day we were talking in Pearl, but I want to hear them on your answer, because a lot of these kids, they think, oh yeah, he don't know what he's talking about. You spent every day of your senior year with me at Raymond High. Is not almost everything I told you was going to happen in life actually happened after you left high school?
It happened. it happened, you know, and I was there. I was you guys listening like, oh my God, he's just talking and he don't know what he's talking about, or he's just trying to tell me this, or he's trying to tell me that. But take advantage of what he's telling you. Write things down, take mental notes, and try to understand what he's telling you. Because when you get out there, when you go to college, like I said, you're not gonna have someone, you know, on your back like he is telling you, hey, I want you to do this so you won't fail, or you need to do this or you need to do that. They're gonna tell you a month ahead, this is due at 11:59, and it's your responsibility to submit it at 11:59. It's not gonna be the work. It's not going to be no, oh, can I get more time? It's not going to be any of that. You know, you're going to be out there, especially if you do choose to go away to college. You know, you won't have as many people around you that you know. So this is a time for you to take advantage, you know, of your senior year, take advantage of any advice that he's giving you, you know, about what's going to happen, because it's going to happen. It may seem unrealistic that he's telling you it now, but it's very realistic. It's going to happen, you know. So if I could go, to go back to the question earlier, if I could go back, I would go back and be in his class and ask him for a little bit more advice, you know. So it is definitely worth it. You know, you guys just have a positive attitude about anything. You know, be grateful. You know that you have the opportunity. You have an awesome teacher that's, you know, willing to assist you and not only help you with what you're going through now, but what you're going to deal with in the future. And that's very important. You know, it's you should be thankful to have somebody that's, you know, telling you that, because all teachers are not like that.
Well, I appreciate that. And again, it's never about me. It's just about getting the information out there. But again, Chasity Carter, Mississippi Department of Child Protective Services. And if anybody's interested in the social work field, I will definitely send them your way. I think you'd be a great mentor for any of these young men and women that would be wanting to get into this field. That is much needed. But I'm so proud of you, and thank you so much for making some time for us today. I will definitely see you soon.
Thank you, thank you. And I'll send you my email. You can give it to your students. So if they have any questions or anything that they want to ask me regarding my field or anything regarding their future, they can definitely email me. I'll send that to you.
I appreciate that. And thanks for taking some time for us today. I know you're really busy.
Thank you. You guys have a good rest of the day.
All right. See you, buddy.
Thank you.